meet you. This is Dr. Kim from Richgo.
Hello, nice to meet you. Kim Ki-wan from Richgo.
Today, January 9th, 2025. We are approaching the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. I don't know if it's related, but as U.S. Treasury yields have skyrocketed, the global financial markets are feeling the tension. In this video, we will analyze and discuss this situation together.
A lot of people have been saying that when interest rates go down, loan rates should drop too. However, if you look at the US 10-year Treasury yield, the benchmark interest rate has gone down, but it's actually going up.
It'll be like this.
In fact, it's going up, so it's at its highest point since April of last year. The highest point...
What is the highest point it has reached?
As of January 7th, it has risen to 4.685% local time. What you need to understand is that the benchmark interest rate, Treasury yields, and actual market interest rates can move differently. So please keep that in mind. And the 10-year Treasury yield has the biggest impact on financial markets, including mortgage rates and corporate loan rates. In fact, the loan rates in our country also hit a low in September. And the 10-year Treasury yield has the biggest impact on financial markets, including mortgage rates and corporate loan rates. So, in fact, the loan rates in our country also hit a low in September. It's been going up continuously 10, 11, 12. The loan rates are...
Yes, It's unusual because while the benchmark interest rate has gone down, Treasury yields have gone up. It's moved in the opposite direction. Honestly,
First of all, while there are summaries of this information in the media, according to Director Park Jong-hoon, whom I really admire and respect, how did the US handle things in 2024? So, we have short-term and long-term Treasury bonds, and we should have mixed them in an appropriate ratio. But instead, to keep supplying liquidity to the market, they hardly issued long-term bonds and just kept rolling over short-term bonds. They should have mixed and issued these, but instead, to keep supplying liquidity to the market, they hardly issued long-term Treasury bonds and just kept rolling over short-term bonds. In 2024, as a result, there are a lot of long-term bonds that need to be issued in 2025. Since there are so many that need to be issued, the supply of long-term Treasury bonds is high. There's a lot of supply, and that's why it's going up like this. So, because of this cold weather, I don't think it's going to be easy for Treasury yields to drop significantly. And they're also talking about concerns regarding rising import prices due to high tariffs. Next, the job service indicators in the US are showing good performance. So, that's a pressure factor causing US Treasury yields to rise. They're also talking about tax cuts, saying they're going to reduce taxes. So the fiscal deficit is expanding. So what else is there? If the fiscal deficit expands, then they will have to increase bond issuance. As they increase bond issuance, the prices of Treasury bonds fall and the yields on those bonds rise. Because of these factors, US Treasury yields are currently rising. That's what I'm saying.
It seems like Treasury yields are quite sensitive, and you've explained the background for this upward trend. There's a lot of debate about whether this rise is an opportunity for investment or a warning sign of a crisis. What do you think, sir?
All right, let me first explain this using the chart. If you look at the chart, it has been going down continuously for the past few decades, fluctuating, and after hitting the bottom in 2020, it has been rising sharply in recent years. So, as I mentioned in my oil lecture, the question is whether interest rates will look like this for the next 5 or 10 years, or like this. Option 1 or option 2. I believe that how we make decisions regarding this will change the fate of individuals and businesses.
Whether Treasury yields will rise or fall, 5 or 10 years is really important.
Do you think our friend Michiko will go up, like Japan? Or do you think it will go back down like option 2? Do you think it will go up like that? Or do you think it will go back down like option 2?
Looking at the graph right now, it seems like it's going to go up a bit more.
Looking at the graph, yes. How do I see it? I've listened to a lot of discussions from various experts around the world regarding this matter, and I've also read some books to organize my thoughts. So, if I were to share my perspective, I believe there's a very high possibility that it will go in the direction of option 1.
How far do you think it will go? How high will it rise?
I believe that in 5 to 10 years, it could go up to 8 to 9% or even higher. There are few reasons for this, but of course, if the international situation changes, it might not happen that way. First of all, what is the basis for making this judgment? The first reason is the conflicts between countries. Countries are fighting with each other. They're in conflict, right? So what does that mean? The factory is said to be in the US, but labor costs in the US are high. And because countries are fighting with each other, the world doesn't operate efficiently. So what does that mean? These are all factors contributing to rising prices. Conflicts between countries are a factor in rising prices, so prices are bound to go up. But Peter Zeihan also mentioned this. The US has given up its role as the world's police. I won't be the police anymore. I'm only going to take care of the US. Look at what Trump is doing these days. It's like they're just acting like total bullies, you know? So, these are the factors that inevitably lead to rising prices. What's the second reason? It's climate change. Because of climate change, food is becoming increasingly scarce. How are prices?
Prices. It's scary. It's scary, right? Yeah, these days.
Moreover, in the case of South Korea, just take a look. When it comes to prices, food, clothing, and energy are really important. What about South Korea? Both are imported. We import energy and we import food too. But the US, it's not even acting as the police of the world. So what do you think will happen? So it's only natural that these things are bound to go up. And the third factor, which is specific to South Korea, is that the population decline has now begun. So I believe that the dollar will continue to rise in the medium to long term over the next 5 to 10 years. So if the dollar rises, the prices of food, energy, and everything we import will go up. Then prices will go up again. So I think globally, like Japan, interest rates there is a very high possibility of an upward trend. At least the possibility of going down again, the second time, is almost non-existent. I think the possibility of that happening again is almost non-existent. But many people are thinking about this right now. Of course, let me reiterate that this can happen very temporarily for a short while. It can happen for a short while, but that's really just for a moment. And if you look at the long term, what is it? I believe there's a very high possibility that it will keep fluctuating while trending upward like this. So, what really breaks my heart is that there are people who have taken special loans, right? You took the special loan in 2023, 2024, right? What is this special loan? They said they would give you a special low interest rate. How many years do you get the benefits for? You get the benefits for 5 years. You're paying loan interest at a low rate. That's cheaper than the market rate for just 5 years. What's the reason for that? It will return to its original state. But how many decades are we going to be taking out loans in the future? Usually, take out a 30-year loan, right? And then it's variable after being fixed for about 5 years. So, should we think about what the market interest rates for loans in South Korea will be like in 5 or 10 years and decide whether to take out a loan or not? I guess we need to plan and take it out. Right now, for example, it's 3%. It was 3%. Oh, yes. But what if in 5 years it will be 28 years, starting from 29? What if the interest rate goes up to 6% or the loan interest rate becomes 9%? If such a world comes, what will happen to those who took out special loans at that time? Isn't it completely meaningless? Everyone will end up unable to bear the interest burden and they'll end up going to auction again. So I really think that the special loans, which caused a slight rebound that abruptly halted the decline in the real estate market in 2023 and 2024, are truly a bad situation when I think about the future. I really hope it doesn't come to this, but what's happening globally right now. There is a high possibility that a world will unfold in which interest rates rise to the current market rate while fluctuating. And depending on how you think about this, don't just listen to me, also hear what other experts have to say and listen to global groups. So, you need to assess whether the interest rates will be fluctuating and going up or down, and manage your business and asset management accordingly to avoid mistakes. If you think about this twice, it could really lead to big problems for you. It could really be a big deal. If you think about this twice, it could really lead to big problems for you. It could really be a big deal.
I think we need to look at the interest rate situation, not just in the short term, but more long term, like you mentioned. I think we need to look at how things will move in 50 years. Set some guidelines accordingly.
I'm suddenly feeling scared too.
You shouldn't just carelessly take out loans.
No, it won't work. Right now, the reason there are so many auction cases and why the world is getting tough is because interest rates have skyrocketed. Don't you feel it so strongly right now? I really feel that Korea is in a very dangerous situation, and I feel it deeply. So, I'm really curious about whether you all think it's option 1 or option 2. I think the probability of option 1 is very high, but I also believe there will be comments like this.
I think there are definitely people who believe that it will happen again. As you mentioned, I think it would be good to share some opinions. For those who are considering option 2, it would be great if you could share why you support that option and discuss it together. I think it would make for a good conversation. Today we talked about the sharp rise in US Treasury yields. I think we need to keep an eye on how things will change in the future due to the policy shifts of the Trump administration and the uncertainty in the market. If you found today's video helpful, you know what to do, right? Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you.